Good morning. Let us today take a look at the detailed explanation, line by line, of the of the sonnet, Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds by William Shakespeare. As you may know, I am Dr. Neeta Mathur from Sri Govind Singh Gurjar, Government College, Nasirabad. So, we'll take a look at the first quatrain, lines 1 to 4, in detail. Lines 1 and 2 first. I quote, Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. This poem opens with one of the most famous lines ever. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Sure, it sounds nice, but what does it mean? Is he talking about a real marriage? If so, who's getting married? What impediments? Yes, there are a lot of questions just in this one declaration. But we'll walk you through it. First of all, the poem alludes to marriage and to the actual marriage ceremony, which remains basically unchanged. The word impediment is lifted straight from the official Church of England wedding service. You might recognize its modern equivalent, the whole speak now or forever hold your peace section of weddings, so frequently used and abused in romantic comedies. However, don't get all crazy and start throwing rice or anything. This poem isn't actually talking about a real marriage. The marriage of true minds is a metaphor for true love. We are not sure if this refers specifically to platonic love or sexual love. Instead, we are intended to see it as capital L, ideal, perfect love. Note that the poet uses the word minds instead of anything more basic like hearts or bodies. This is to let us know that this perfect love is the partnership of two thinking, willing individuals who are not simply driven by emotions or hormones. Finally, the truly genius part of this opening statement comes in the enjambment between minds and admit. By putting the idea of obstruction in the second line, the poet does not even admit the word impediment into the same line as the phrase, the marriage of true minds. Lines 2 and 4. Which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Here we see love defined by what it is not. The repetition here is very significant and very confusing to puzzle out. Let us tackle the first phrase. Apparently, real love does not change, alter, under different circumstances. That is to say, even if the lovers themselves change, or if the world around them does, true love remains constant. The doubled alter and alteration pairing reminds us of what a less worthy sentiment, which we might think of as not love, is like. It's changeable, it's fickle, and all too easily altered. So what about the next phrase? What does all that bends with the remover to remove business mean? Basically, it makes the above point even more vehemently, claiming that even when someone tries to remove affection, real love does not give in and disappear. Faced with difficulties or adversity, love will always survive. The second quatrain, lines 5 to 8. First, lines 5 and 6. To quote the text, "Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken." Now that we have seen what love is not, we learn what the poet thinks love is. In these two lines, he brings some nautical imagery, meaning imagery from the sea, into the mix. Think about storms and ships, not anchor tattoos and pirates. In line 5, he dramatically changes the tone with "Oh no" to signal the shift from negative to positive, and immediately launches into an affirmation of love's qualities. It is, as he says, "and ever fixed mark." That is easy enough. It just means a marker that never moves. Line 6 emphasizes the steady, solid quality, saying that it weathers storms, tempests, but is never disturbed. What kind of marker is it though? The answer to this question comes in the second half of the quatrain. So now let us take a look at the second half, lines 7 and 8. The text goes, "It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken." Here we discover that the ever fixed mark in the text that came up in line 5 is a star. Not just any old star, but the North Star, the only one that never changes position in the night sky. This refers to old-fashioned navigational knowledge. Before days of GPS and even reliable maps, sailors would chart their location in the ocean based on the position of the stars. Line 8 refers to these astronomical ideas. In the Elizabethan period, nobody knew what stars were made of, which is why stars' worth is unknown, even though mariners did know the location of the stars in the sky or their height. The third quatrain, lines 9 to 12. The summary. First, lines 9 and 10. Quoting the text, "Love is not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come." Okay, so now we have a new image. The poet introduces a familiar figure, that of the Grim Reaper. He's called Time here. But we can read that not only as hours and minutes, but as age and death as well. Line 9 tells us that love is not time's fool. That is to say, love isn't a court jester that panders to the will of time, despite the fact that rosy lips and cheeks of a loved one may fade as they age. In other words, beauty is never constant. We all know that. The bending sickle that swings in line 10 is the scythe that is traditionally pictured in images of the Grim Reaper. The scythe, as you may know, is that appliance that is used in the fields to cut the crop, shaped like a question mark. Lines 11 and 12. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom, says the poet. These last two lines of the third quatrain sum up the point of the whole poem. Love does not change over time. It endures the passing of time, which is depicted as fleeting and brief and lasts until the edge of doom, otherwise known as Judgment Day, the end of time, or whatever you want to call it. It is also known as Doomsday. The couplet, that is the last two lines, lines 13 and 14. If this be error, says Shakespeare in the sonnet, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. The final two lines of the sonnet provide a dramatic and quite bold closing. Quite a bold closing statement. Line 13 uses rather legalistic language to basically say, if these ideas are wrong and anyone can prove that I am incorrect, the line poses something of a challenge to the readers. Do any of you have proof that he is wrong? The final line resolves the challenge, though a somewhat complicated twist, by saying that the poet has never written anything and that nobody has ever really been in love before. If love actually turns out to be less than eternal, the poem's truth immediately becomes impossible to dispute. That is, you cannot argue against it. Why? Well, of course, the poet has written, and we are reading his poem right now. This is almost 500 years after he passed away. And of course, people have loved before. Therefore, the ideas posed in the poem must be correct. Its odd logic, it works in spite of it. Kind of. Just don't think about it too much. That is, let us not confute what Shakespeare has said. Let us just accept his confirmation as the truth. Thank you.